Peace. Peace, peace. This is we go. We bring divine light right from the source. Once us a white deviation birth from my new warrior. Welcome, welcome. They go west, they go east, they go north, they go south. Where are my people right here? My beautiful people right here. Ancient days right here. Faces in gray right here. Birth from the spirit right here. Just here for a minute right here. Moon from a cloud right here. Sing it out loud. Peace, peace. So peace and welcome, 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 welcome. I am so excited to be here with you all. I have you here, up there, over to my right. I feel like I've got cameras everywhere. So we're just going to jump right in. It is noon on Yom Rishon, or as some recognize the day as Sunday, or the first day of the strong of your week, but we don't want to start it out or end it week, so we call it our strong. So we greet everyone in Clubhouse. So I am on Clubhouse on the Honor Life Global Ministries channel. We do our midday affirmative on every first day at noon. So welcome to everyone in that space. And if you want to join as a speaker, please just hit the button and I'll welcome you right in. Also, I want to welcome everyone that's on the Honor Life Global YouTube page and Facebook page. So welcome there. And then I actually have a new addition here, and that is I'm also live on the Alpha Woman Now Instagram page. So welcome everyone that floods into that space and that began following that Instagram page, where we're going to dig a lot deeper into the theme that I'm introducing to you all today. So while you all get settled in, I'll just introduce myself. As you can see on YouTube and Facebook, my name is Ima Yakira Eden. Some of you may think, I know her. Her name's Precious. So yes, you may also know me as Precious. And I'll say a few strongs ago, I had the amazing pleasure of participating in the second retreat for this year with Honor Life Global Ministries. And one of the ceremonies that we participated in for some of us was a naming ceremony. So I received a new name, which is also more specifically an attribute that puts forth a charge as far as what I should bring to this space and community. So Yakira Eden. With that, I want to just open this space by, of course, giving honor and reverence to the Most High, Yah, for breath, for that divine breath that's breathed into each and every one of us. Without that, nothing is possible, right? Without just knowing that there is a creator that formed us all and that has us truly protected and guided in each and every moment is just so comforting. I also want to give thanks to my master and the Chief Jegna of Honor Life Global Ministries, Chief Yuya. Thank you for founding Honor Life Global Ministries and for writing the Anu Way and for all of the podcasts and books and YouTube posts and everything else that you've put forth into the ethers to support us all and to edify us all. And of course, welcome to each and every one of you on all of the different platforms that I just shared. We're going to jump right in. And before I do, I think, oh yeah, there we go. Okay, I've got to look over here. This is where Clubhouse is to make sure I allow people in. Did I? I think. Yes. Okay, there we go. So the subject for today is Alpha Woman Now, Where Art Thou? Or Alpha Woman, Where Art Thou? And when I came up with the title, the first thing, and please let me know if you can't hear me on any of these platforms or I'm not clear, and I will do my best to try to adjust and get things situated for us all. But as far as the theme, peace, as far as the theme of Alpha Woman, Where Art Thou? There's just been so much discussion, right? I would say over the past few years about the alpha woman, the alpha man, who is, who isn't, what makes, what it even means. And, there have been some really controversial voices that have spoken to what an alpha deserves or should even demand. And it's what led to or inspired the creation of Alpha Woman Now, the experience on Instagram, and it'll wind up being on other platforms as well. But in that space, and I'm sharing that one as a plug, definitely follow and join that platform. But really, because it's connected with everything else that we're going to discuss here. But what inspired that was the idea of, or the question of, what is an alpha woman? What does she look like? Is she this? Is she, I think we all know her, is she Rosie the Riveter? Is she, I can do everything a man can do? Is she that CEO boss chick? Is she the stay-at-home mother? What is she? Who is she? Is she the construction worker? Right? Like, how do you even discern? And so what we're going to do in today, as well as in the Alpha Woman Now experience, is really look from one biblical perspective. Who were the alpha women in biblical times? And what would that woman look like today? Exploring the idea of the judge. There was, when we look through Judges, there was a judge, Deborah, who was definitely an alpha woman. And as we dig into her walk and her experience and how her head and master really provided support and instruction and divine guidance, we're going to learn a lot. So before I go any further, I just want to greet everyone here. So I already acknowledged, but again, peace and greetings to you, Chief Yuya, on the YouTube. I'm trying to have to figure this out. Peace, Safta Ahava. Peace, Master Menelek. Peace, top tier speaker, aka Ima Sequoia. In the Alpha Woman Now Instagram chat, I see peace, Ima Naya. Peace, Koti Yafe. And I see a few in Clubhouse as well. So greetings, Aki Zach, Ima Aquia, Darian. I see Brother Ra, Rahim, Mayuba, and someone named Servant. So welcome. What is alpha? So before I can even get into alpha, because I think we know that is the first letter in the Greek alphabet, well, the Hebrew came before the Greek. So the first letter in the Hebrew alphabet is, of course, if you don't know, it's Aleph. And so we're going to first take a little dive into Aleph. And as I'm speaking, particularly in Clubhouse, if anyone wants to chime in or share, please just feel free to unmic and hop right in. And thank you, Imanaya. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, follow, all of the above. So Aleph. We know that Aleph is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. But can anyone, whether in any of the chats, because I can see them all, can you all, before I delve into it, can you all share even just one word of what your understanding of Aleph, like what it represents, what it means, its transliteration? There's so much. There's even the gematria, right, which is the numerical resonance or charge of that number that connects it with other numbers and symbols. Yes. So let me hear or let me see what I'll offer one, right? So we know that, yeah, peace. Okay. So we know that Alpha or Aleph represents one, I'll just say leadership. So that's my one for now. And while those comments come in, I'm actually just going to continue. So before I even continue with the definition, the idea of, okay, so give thanks. And peace. Well, here it says Abba Cruz, but he also received a new attribute, and he is Abba Yada Ram. So greetings, Abba Yada Ram, to the space. Yah's connection to man or connection. So that is what was shared for Aleph by Abba Yada Ram. Someone else says the unseen. Aleph is the unseen, the first of the unseen. So thank you for that. Aleph is also the yoking to Yah. Yes, thank you for that. And actually, I would try to draw it for you all. But if you I will. I don't even know if it'll wind up being backwards. But I'm not going to draw it. If you envision the Aleph symbol, and if someone can just share it in the chat, or the Aleph Otit, which is a letter in Hebrew, it actually looks like a yoke. And by yoke, a yoke is the stick or the tool that would have been used to control cattle. And that's my understanding. Thank you for that, for posting it in the chat, to control cattle. And it's, so even in the scripture where it speaks about, a man and woman being equally yoked, it means being equally, I'm going to say it represents being equally connected to or tethered to the same thing. And if you look at that, OT, you may also see that, well, what I see in it is also the yod, which is the, if you think of Yah, that Y. And it's kind of like, well, what are you yoked to? You're yoked to the unseen, the Most High, that first creator, that original thought, or even the first breath. Now, with that, how would we describe ourselves as an alpha woman or man? But of course, as a woman, I'm speaking to the women. That's the only audience I can speak to. And before I go further, let me see. Okay, so also I see silent power in the chat as far as another response to what Aleph represents. So with that silent power, and with being yoked and leadership and headship and all that we've discussed, think about all of the ways that you have maybe called yourself an alpha that doesn't connect with that doesn't connect with you being the original first form of what you were charged with being. I'll say for myself, I thought I was an alpha because I was a CEO, because I was a boss, because I was a leader and a manager, and because I chose, at times, most times, a very masculine way of navigating through the world. Yes, I leaned on the fact of being a woman, but only primarily to manipulate, to get what I wanted. And so that's the truth. And with that, coming into an understanding of what it truly means to be an alpha, it's like to be that original, to be what you were designed to be in the very beginning, right? When the Elohim was forming, what was the original intent when the world was being formed? Was it for me to function as a man? No, it wasn't. So simply, I guess the simplest way that I can put it is to be an alpha woman is to personify the original attributes of a woman. And that is a whole conversation in and of itself. In the name, just in the word womb man, we know that one, we're springing forth from Adam, the man, but we are carrying the womb, that dark space, that chaos, right? That happens in the womb, which is also infinite potential. So it's like, what are you bringing forth? Or are you even acknowledging that you are charged with bringing forth something? And who is inspiring what's brought forth? So I have more questions than answers. So with that, I'm going to take a moment to just pause and see, what's happening in all of these different chat spaces, because there are many. And then I also want you all to know before I even go into the chat, it looks like I'm all caught up anyway. I have an audio clip. I'm not going to share the video, but I am going to play the audio just so that you all can draw reference. It is from the Enlightenment and Transformation segment on YouTube. And it's the actual name of the video is Alpha Male, Alpha Female. And in this video, Chief Yuya is actually answering questions that were brought forward based on two previous YouTube posts where he spoke about the alpha man, the alpha male, and he opened the forum for questions. And there was a particular question posed by a sister, and she, said, well, what is an alpha woman to do when she wants her alpha man to step up and she wants to motivate and inspire him? So we're going to get into what the answer, is to that. And it'll lay the foundation for a lot of what we're going to discuss here today. Willfully. So yeah, I'm going to pause and see. So welcome to Clubhouse. I see Chief Yuya, Akoti Yafe, and Aki Zach. I'm pretty confident one of you want to jump in and just contribute to the build. So I'm going to hold space for that for a second.
Can you hear me?
Absolutely. Peace. And just let me know if everyone else can hear. You should be able to hear loud and clear.
Mm-hmm. Peace. What was I going to say? To your question about Aleph, it's interesting because Aleph is, I think, isn't that where we get like alpha? Because it's Aleph Bet. And then I think that transliteration to Greek is the alpha Bet. So even in that word alphabet Aleph, it's the alpha. And as you pulled on that, it made me think of like in Chief's book, Grasping the Roots of Divine Power, where he talks about, the boom and the clap, clapping on the 2 and 4. Africans clap on the 2 and 4 and not the 1 and the 3 because we feel it. So it goes back into the idea of the unseen. Like you don't need to try to clap on it and superimpose yourself because it's there. And especially if, we are reflections, right, of the Most High. Like we already know that that's there. And then like moving into the idea of the alpha woman, it made me think of, not to speak to it, of course I can't speak to what an alpha man is, but as a woman, right, we always say like, oh, well, I want an alpha man. You know, I was part of that crew. I know many women who are part of that crew. They want an alpha man. And the draw to the alpha man is because in our minds, it's like, well, he's the pinnacle. He's the highest of what a man is and what he's doing. So that's the attraction. And then there's that thought that like, oh, well, then that's the alpha woman is the mirror, that when it's not. If we are attracted to the alpha male because he's the pinnacle of what he is, then alpha female is not the mirror of that. It is we being the pinnacle of what we are to be as women, not the mirror image of a man and in a woman's body, because that's something else, right? So it means that we have to be soft. It means that we have to be submissive. We're the complement. That's what the alpha woman is. It's the complement to the alpha male, not, you know, large and in charge, big Marge, and, you know, I'm running things and I'm a boss, which I was that woman too, you know. It's not that. It's stepping into the role fully of being what I was intended to be and what I came to this physical plane as. So good things. That's what I got for now.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. You touched on a lot. So that clapping off beat, right? That like refusing to get on to harmonize or to yeah, period, to harmonize. That refusal or inability to harmonize is really a clue, right? That you don't fit. You don't fit. And so and maybe that's okay, because maybe then what you are is a beta. And there are beta females and there are beta males, and they are meta. Get it? I'm sorry for corny humor. That was so corny. Made up for each other. Waka waka.
Here we go.
Yeah. And I'm gonna crack myself up too. I might even clap because I thought that was hilarious. That beta woman or beta female is, does have her complement as well, but we're not talking about that. I also appreciate you speaking about, the alpha man being perceived as the pinnacle. And in order to be what I would imagine, in order to be even within the sphere of that, or in the orbit, as Chief Yu has described it, of that alpha male, you need to be moving in your right form and structure. And in the areas that you may very well not be, because you may not have headship, you have to be fully yielding and submissive to headship and instruction and guidance in order to continue to be formed, and for your, as I always love the idea of, for your contours to be further shaped and formed. So that was my, my tidbit and my corny joke. So peace, Master Menelek. I see you in on the podium as well. Again, just unmute and unmic. So with that, I'm actually going to go right into the snippet from Alpha Male, Alpha Female. Let me make sure the volume's up nice and loud here.
So what happens is alpha men or young men learn from other men who are further along the path. Not only do they learn from men who are further along the path, they learn from trial and error. So for instance, had I not have been, he'd not have seen that in the backyard, and I would have put it, the children would have played on it. They would want to swing or something like that, and the pole would have been shaking and coming loose. Then I would have said, oh, I did this wrong. I had to go back and do it again, right? Trial and error. But the best thing that women can do, even if it's your mate, is to get out the way. If there's an opportunity or situation that allows for that man to step forward and do what he does, just get out the way. Stop talking. Stop suggesting. I'm just suggest. Shut up. Stop suggesting. Go do something else. And Don't, like, let's say the car's broke down on the side of the road. Don't, well, honey, you want me to call AAA? Or if he's trying to figure it out, don't come out and say, honey, I know you're really stressed out. You're tired from work. I'm going to take this load off of your back.
Okay. So you want to be an alpha female? You want to, support. And I wouldn't even say support. Do you want to be in the right form to not impede your head from being an alpha? Get out of the way. Stop talking. Shut up. And some of the earlier references in that same segment also spoke to fully being immersed in what it means, what it is for you to be an alpha female or woman, really, because that's ultimately the goal, to be a woman. And some of the components of what that is managing, being steadfast in all of the responsibilities and charges that your head, your mate, your spouse has bestowed upon you. Not infantilizing your male children, which is another piece that was touched on earlier in this segment. Some of the things that we can do is not impede a young man's ability to develop into that alpha. And the example that was given is, earlier on, and it's referenced here, is Chief Yuya's opportunity to build like a swing set in someone's backyard without having any knowledge on how to do that, and being allowed fully to do that and explore that without, what I would have been known to do this with my son had I not had this teaching. You know what you're doing? You need help? Do you need me to go over the instructions? Maybe I should lay all the tools out for you. No, that wouldn't be what I would do now, because that isn't going to support his growth into being that alpha, and in trial and error, and coming up under the the other men that he has to reach up to, and to learn and explore and study from. Yes. Come on through, Aki Zach. I knew it. I felt it. See, that's when you like just moving in the flow. I was like, just give it.
All right. Greetings and salutations, your kid and Clubhouse land. And let me say it like my brother, Achati.
That's so shady.
He is no good.
So,
that was not right. That was not right. Chati.
No good.
It's endearing.
All right. Let's get on with it. Who is Big Marge? That was my first question.
Large adventure.
Yeah, it was from Pee Wee. Large March. Large March.
I was like, boss.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who that is.
Then we got some of us got movie references too. See?
Well, it also probably came out like before you were born. That's the other thing.
All right, I appreciate that. Man, so that reminded me of that's that, man. 347-945-7680. Call in and let's build. I think that's the number. It may or may not be. Whatever. But it's always interesting to hear when one brings up alpha. And, some will say that there's no such thing as an alpha. And then some will like, they purport themselves and start to, I am that person. Then you start to look at it and say, but what is understood really doesn't need to be explained. But even in the sense when we're just listening to the clip, it's like how many might have cringed if somebody tells you just shut up, man. And get out. I don't, or even when I'm hearing some other segments, like, don't need it. Like, I don't need the extra talking. And it's very hard. Very hard. Even for, when we say men learn from other men that are further along the path, there's times when other youngsters, now when you're coming up, just stop talking. You don't know everything. Mm-hmm. Learn from somebody who was in front of you. Yeah, now there's going to be times you're going to have trial and error. My thing is, though, if you're going to learn, make new mistakes. There's no need to make old mistakes, especially when there's somebody here who has made them already. Then just learn from it. And now, there's going to be some. It doesn't mean that there's not going to be any challenges. It doesn't mean that you're not going to run into any roadblocks or anything of that nature. But it's now a matter of, are you willing to be receptive? And this is across the board. So that now, when one is to, I'm speaking for men, when you're ready to step and lead in that role, you have now learned from somebody across the board. It's like, nah. There's times to be receptive. There's times to be, be more outgoing and say what I need to, this what needs to get done. But ultimately, just being aware of your environment and being aware of, like, just always paying attention to all of the little minor details, man, that really can give you an inkling of, like, what's going on around you. I think all of that just goes into play with one who's being an alpha, is being the biggest servant, which is like, y'all all educated, that's not it. And I think there was an example in the show. It's like, the sun and the planets, and the sun, the planets are revolving around the sun, but yet still the sun is still the biggest servant out of all of them. And once that was, like, that helped me put things in perspective moving forward. So I just wanted to add that.
Peace. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Chief.
No, it's all you, brother.
All right, give thanks. Peace, everyone in the space. Peace, Akira, Ida. Give thanks for the topic. One of the things that I thought of as everyone was speaking, was the desire to be an alpha, and sort of equating it to the desire that children have to be an adult, and usually that desire is based on, once I'm growing up or once I hit 18, nobody else can tell me what to do. And sometimes the desire to be an alpha comes from that. Like, I see these people who I think are alphas, and nobody can boss them around. So I want to be like that, because I don't want anyone to boss me around. And the way that they go about emulating that is trying to boss everybody else around. So you equate the term alpha with boss, instead of equating with being the highest version of what you are in your role. I remember Chief breaking out alpha being, you're the one who's most important in the role that you play. So the example that he had given is, if there's a fishing village, then obviously the best fisherman would be the alpha man.
Right.
And maybe the woman who was able to sell the best fish, or run a fish stall the most successfully, would be the alpha woman. But she's coming behind what the man has already provided, and she's making good use of it. She's not trying to get on the boat with him and, like, get out the way, I got the net. I can pull the net just as good as you can. It's not like that. So there's a distortion of what an alpha is, because there's a distortion of what a woman is. So even in just being a woman in and of itself, you already move in a very powerful way. But if your goal is just to be the top for the sake of being the top, then there's gonna be a distortion. If you want to be above men because you think that men have all the power, then there's automatically a distortion. You distort yourself, or you're trying to stand above distorted men. You see a real man, and you don't want to be in charge anymore because it's not in your nature to be at the head. It's not in your nature to walk around like, yeah, I got one of those things too. It's in my purse, and when I press this button, it vibrates. It's nothing like that. It's more along the lines of, I know my role because it comes naturally when I meet someone who's moving naturally in their role. But society is so distorted that my view of men is they don't know what they're doing. They will always need my help. I may have to help them secretly because they have fragile egos. So I'll just manipulate them into thinking that they did it, when really I'm sitting here like I did it. There's all of these things. And Tifa's broken it down. You combine what you see in your home and in your environment with what you see on television and what you hear on the radio. Your environment is saturated with dysfunction. So what are you going to do? How can you move if all you see is bad examples? And then when someone breaks down what it really is, that can't be it. Or if you hear someone say, shut up, you automatically all of the programming starts replaying, and you open your mouth and it's like a tape recorder is playing in your head. You black out. Someone tries to calm you down and you're like a pit bull. Then when you finish, when someone explains to you what it is, it's like, oh, okay. Well, why didn't you just say so? Or they say stuff like, I'll submit to a man if I can find one worth submitting to. So basically, I have to force you and beat you into submission in order for you to realize that I know what I'm doing. Like, why would you even make that a criteria that you have to already have this narrative of abuse has to happen for me to submit? So that's what I wanted to add to it. It's what I've seen, depicted as the standard, and it's what I've seen play out like everywhere. Like it's like the title, "Where art thou?" Where do you find an actual woman? It's very difficult.
Yeah, peace everyone. So obviously, great concept and discussion points that we have today. And yeah, like when we speak about the things like, yeah, just shut up and get out of the way. And you hear things like that, it can be triggering for some, but people have developed new triggers based on new ignorance. What they're told they should be upset by. Like I say, every year we're told even what country we should hate, what group of people we should hate, what terms we should hate, without being able to form our own concepts. Because sometimes these things our inner voice is saying, shut up, don't say that. You shouldn't say that, But the thing is, I wanted to hit upon the initial question. When we think of alpha, for me, it's the beginning. That's alpha. And most importantly, outside of it just being the beginning, it's my beginning, right? So you can have a space where there's multiple alphas, because each alpha is going to be the beginning of its line for what it needs to do. So let's say we're in a village or we're in a tribal setting, and one brother over there, he is really good with weapons. Let's say I'm really good with organizing people. Let's say someone is really good with money. They're a great treasurer or whatever. You might have that fisherman, so forth and so on. We go to different roles that, are included inside of a communal setting. Each of us who begins the placement or the seeding of that, and right, seeding, SEEDING, the seeding of that particular role in the community becomes the alpha, because they are the beginning. They are the first one to present that. So if I am looking for my alpha woman, I'm looking for my mirror image of that beginning. So not necessarily great by social standards, because society can't define an alpha. Right. What defines an alpha is really the Most High. That's why it's that concept of Aleph, where you are yoked to the Most High. And we spoke about that earlier. The yoke, to be unequally yoked doesn't mean to necessarily have a yoke that's imbalanced in terms of its construction. It means that back in the days, if you would do something like take a mule and put it under a yoke in order to plow your field, and then put it with a ox, for instance, you would end up with incorrect lines in your plowing. Your lines wouldn't be straight, and more specifically, what would end up happening is the animals would just go into a circle. So when you have two animals that are equally yoked, whether it's two mules, two ox, two horse, even, they will instinctually travel in a progressive straight line. They'll go straight. But when you have, let's say, a horse and a jackass, they're gonna make a curve, and your rows, your planting rows, will end up eventually look like crop circles. They'll just be circles. So to be unequally yoked meant that I'm bound to someone who's not my alpha, who's not my mirror image, or what we say, that twin soul or that twin flame of my beginning. So each of us has an alpha, and what's more important, not or equally as important, I would say, is the omega, which we don't speak about too much, but they go hand in hand. And the omega, of course, the alpha being the beginning, and the omega being the end, right? And the omega is, it's the 15th letter of the alphabet will go, or that Ayin. O represents Ayin. Ayin in Hebrew means the eye. So it's that concept. And some people distort it. They say, oh, O represents an open mouth, but there's no proof to that. The closest association you'll have with O outside of Ayin is zero, in your Arabic numerology, right? But nonetheless, that I, or that zero, represents my last step. So whereas the alpha represents the first step, the omega represents the last, now gives birth to an alpha again. So it's like an AO, 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 AO. It just keeps, it's a continual cycle, or like a Olodumare, where Olodumare, that O, just like, that's where you see the relationship between the Irish language and your Yoruba. The O represents the spirit of, or more specifically in Gaelic, O represents descendant of. So like when you say omega, and like your megas are something that are big, or something that are very just something that's big and massive would be your mega. Your O, it means descendant. So omega would be the descendant of something massive. So what would that massive thing be? It would be the alpha. So the alpha, just like your relationship between your man and your woman, those alphas secrete and trickle down greatness until it becomes the omega, the last step, which then produces another alpha. So I would just say, as we're speaking about what makes an alpha woman, what makes an alpha man, it's who has the guts to be first. And when you're talking about an alpha woman, it's the woman who has the guts to mirror what is first. And then when they do that, they create a lineage. And then that lineage, whether it be the lineage of fishermen, or the lineage of farmers, or the lineage of politicians, whatever it is, priestesses, that lineage then becomes the omega, or the dissension. Those who come from that become the descendants of greatness. And why was it great? Because it was equally yoked in first cause. It was first cause. It was pure. So that beginning first cause, that purity, that boldness of creativity, that freedom, that is our alpha spirit. Just wanted to say that.
Give thanks, Master Menelik and Chief Yuya, for what you just shared. I definitely appreciate the analogy of the fisherman and what that energy brings. And as soon as you shared that example, Master Menelik, the thing that I wrote down was that the alpha woman seeks to reflect the light and not be the light. And then that was reiterated in what Chief just shared about the lineage. And again, knowing that it's like you're connecting to come up under that headship and guidance, and not being in the front. That's not necessarily what it's about. It's really about mirroring what is first. So that mirror is just that. So yeah, give thanks. Peace and welcome, Mayuba. I see you in the speaking panel. So if you want to hop in, feel free, as is Abeharut. As that happens, I'm just going to continue and just read something from the Anue. It says, as the man is the head, the woman is the body. The body must be nourished and tended to in order for it to correctly function in tandem with the head. The physique is the active potency of transformation on the earth. The body traps, gestates, and unfurls the light of the head. And this line is always, I think it connects really a lot to what we're speaking about, or what I was seeking for us to explore today. The body should be free to do what it is directed to do. Females should be made free to be women. So in that desire to reflect the light, in that shutting up and stepping back and not thinking that you need, and not even thinking you need to take the lead, but knowing you'll be told what position to play, and you should be equipped and prepared to play that position exceptionally well. Or seek instruction and direction and how you can best execute in the role that you've been given, and not, do you need me to call AAA? Matter of fact, do you need me to change that tire myself? Yeah, you should know how to do that just in case, but that's not your role in that moment, particularly when headship is there. And I think what's interesting about the whole, I know a few of the brothers touched on that I guess some may take it as the sting of shut up or stop talking. But later in that segment, Chief Yuya does also touch on what a woman should do when she is choosing to fully remain in her role. And the response is, you ain't gonna get down here and help me change the tire. You're not gonna come and assemble this thing with me. And what her response should be. And her response should be, no, I'm going to be in the house doing woman things. In the cool, if it's the summertime, or in the warmth, if it's the winter time. And because that's also a part of the role. But see, so many of us want that part. We want to chill at home. We want to not work. We want to, enjoy the comforts. But we don't appreciate how that is connected to a larger piece of being that alpha woman. And so, yeah, I think that there's a lot of I want to be that stay at home, really just because I don't want to work, or because I don't want to, to do the things that I know maybe I should do, because if our business is fishing, then I have a role in that. And that role is work. And it is cultivating and reflecting that light. And maybe it's marketing, or maybe it's getting on social media, even though you don't want to, and it makes you hot and sweaty and nervous, but serving well, so that those fish get sold. So yes, let me see. Okay. And welcome in top tier speaker. Trying to navigate these chats. And
I would also say, while you're navigating the chat, give you a little cover. I would also say that, even hearing something like "shut up, get out the way," I think I mentioned that in a recent podcast. We live in a society now that looks to create this dual matriarch inside of the house. So we're both supposed to function like females, and any kind of immersion or eruption of masculine energy is immediately criminalized. Men do not communicate like women, and women do not communicate like men. can't be working on something and get frustrated and just start crying. I'm not allowed to do that. You know, I can't just have a breakdown and say forget it, or start walking on the side of the highway because I just need some space and clear my head. I'm not allowed to get away with that.
Right.
And there are certain things that women are not allowed to get away with based on the things that I may do. You know, and again, this diversity and these differences are valuable because we can barter emotions. We can barter logic. You know, I can trade your emotion for my logic. You can trade my logic for emotion, depending on the situation. This is how we work together. There's time where my logic is going to be more valuable in this space. There's times when your emotion is going to be more valuable in this space. You know, when it's whatever. I don't want to come up with examples, but I think we all understand that. But the bottom line is this. This is really important for anybody listening. If you have to tiptoe around the truth, like, you know, Ima Yakira Eden said earlier, that, you know, a woman must be made free. This is something that I wrote. Every word in the Anu Way is written specifically for a reason. Made free. That means she's not free. That means I'm not setting her free. That means just because I wed her and remove her from her parents' house, she's now free to do whatever she wants. That's not what she may be liberated from their rules and their doctrine, but it doesn't make her free. You know, so you have to be able to delineate the differences between, you know, being out in the world now and not being of the world. And not being of the world is now where the freedom comes, but that freedom comes from the truth. And the truth, you know, being that thing that makes her free now is a knowing. It's just like how Adam knew Eve, and then this happened. Well, she must know the truth. So that means I must be the truth. She must know me. When we intercourse, and on different levels, we intercourse and we interchange, I'm supposed to make her free. And through that freedom now, these things don't even need to be explained. But if I'm bringing truth, and the action is of what I'm bringing is the proof of my faith. Like, I'm not just talking, but you're actually seeing the action. And you still have to sit and explain. You have a garbage female or a garbage male. And we're in a time now, you got to understand that everything isn't the same forever. There's a time where you have to move differently. And we're not in the season where we have this time to be sitting here trying to explain these basics. Because these are basics. You know, these are, you know, I'm speaking, you should listen to me while I'm talking. Or how about something just as simple as this? I know society tells you that you can jump in my face and say whatever you want, you know, and I shouldn't hit you because it's an unfair fight because I'm bigger than you. But doesn't your common sense tell you because I'm bigger than you, you shouldn't jump in my face and say whatever you want? Like, let's just make it real simple. Like, just comments. Me as a man, I wouldn't go to some club downtown and just jump in the bouncer's face and just start talking crap. I know what's going to happen next. I'm clear on what's going to happen. You see, so this is what I'm saying. It just comes down to the basics of understanding that what the world, being in the world and being not of it, is where the freedom comes from. Knowing that what you've been given is ridiculous and it's killing you. And if you are not listening, if you're interacting with someone who's not interested in spiritual freedom and is not shackled to the idea of spiritual freedom, removing themselves from the bondage of disobedience and from a lifestyle of habitual lawlessness, then none of these things that you say are going to make any sense, or any sharp commands that you're going to give are going to make any sense, because they're a slave to their disobedience. And they have no interest in being freed from bondage and brought into the family of the divine. You know, so that's just for anyone who might say, well, you can say it like this, you can say it however you feel like saying it. Because if you're moving with a flow and you're moving divine, the way you're saying it is the way it needs to be said. You know, one of the things I always consider that Yeshua's ministry was 3 years. I don't think he could have lasted longer than that. Honestly, being around that much ignorance.
Right.
I mean, his own disciples failed him. It tells you that in the book of John. Like, his disciples failed him. People were like, making fun of him. You know, like, he was going through all kind of garbage. I mean, he was born, they were trying to kill him. He's like, yeah, 3 years I'm out, because if I stay here any longer than this, you know what? I'm gonna kill these people, because I could just do it with a snap of my fingers. I could just kill everybody and just be done with it. So so when you see stories like, oh, he goes into the temple and flips the tables, that's the least that could have happened. So someone being like, yo, shut up, dude. That's the least that could be said to you when you are bringing Babylonian disobedience into a space that someone is trying to maintain as clean and to protect you from yourself. So I'm just giving that message to the men, stand strong and stand firm on what you're saying. And women, you're going to have to do the same thing, because a lot of these children that are coming forth are New World Order soldiers. And you can't tiptoe around the sickness. You can't tiptoe around the agenda, because in doing that, you're really condemning them to a life of bondage. You're making them captives to something that they shouldn't be captive to. We have to move with a military mind at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Give thanks. I just wanted to add to our Chief Jagna, Chief Yuya, to the point of what he was just sharing, and about, especially with the topic alpha woman, where out there. And interesting enough, what most alpha women don't really realize, if their energy is not controlled, if it's not following their master, following their mate, and in alignment, it will contribute to a lot of health challenges. And that's another thing that most people don't realize, especially today. There are different parts of the world that they don't have, like what women have today. You hear about breast cancer, you hear about ovarian cancer, you hear about all the different diseases, but a lot of times the women don't really realize that a lot of the health challenges that are out there, especially in the West. The West is the number one when it comes to all these health challenges, and they don't realize that's due to the disobedience and the misalignment of that alpha part of them, that they gotta do something. They gotta take charge because the man is not there. And that disobedience, that's the way the Creator is using. It's like, okay, so you don't want to submit and pay homage and be humble to your alpha man. Well, then this is the disobedience that's going to cause it. This is where the health challenges come in. And so that is interesting, as Chief was sharing, and especially what Akoti Yakira was sharing with the segment that Chief did. A breakdown of the segment she shared is that we'll hear that women will come and complain. And I remember there was we were having a discussion some time ago where some alpha women said, "But Chief, you don't understand. I'm more mature than my mate." And it's like, what? Shut up. Just be quiet. Stop trying to be right all the time. Can you understand that your imbalance is causing rift within the thread of the family? Right. And like Chief just shared, if it's not corrected, it's going to infuse into the children. And so I just wanted to add that to the build, and as we're building today, and I give thanks to this topic.
I would say something too in regards to that. When we speak about submission to the alpha man, like for Abba Harut, it's really not as much of an issue, because his name means freedom, and he is such a unique brother, right? But alpha, again, being original, creative first. So when you are, because I don't think women should submit, just like that. A woman should already be submissive to her father. And if her father isn't, well, forget all that, her father. Because the women you should be looking to deal with should have their fathers in their lives, or at least had them in their lives, But So she already comes into the space already submitting to masculine authority. You know, you can't teach a 25, 30, 40-year-old woman how to submit to masculine authority. She already knows she's supposed to do it. She's decided she doesn't need to, and she ain't gonna do it. So leave her be. Let her get toe up with everybody else. Just, you know, leave her where she's at. But at the same time, when we look at the men, if you really are a man, are you stomping so hard in the stones that you're moving through that you're leaving fossils? You know, are you leaving footprints in stone to the point that it's like, okay, I am making a first imprint. Your imprint, remember, is your glyph or your character. My character is deeply cemented into wherever I step because it's an originating thing. It's a free thing. If not, this is guidance I would give to women. Don't submit to him. I mean, don't submit to him. You know, like, just because a lot of times women will do that so that they can continue their hard luck narrative. Oh, I met a guy, and, you know, when I'm in a relationship, I just give my all, and I just gave my all. And why did you give your all in? Because that's just what I do. No, you're doing that so you can continue the narrative of raggedy men, so that way you could do something evil later. You know, has this person been tested as someone worthy of submitting to? And what is someone worthy of submitting to? It's real simple. Are they righteous? Do they have a plan? That's it. That's all you need. Is he righteous? Does he have a plan? It's just two things. It's real simple. If he's got those two things, then he's worthy of submission to. You see? So, but if that's not necessary, and by a plan, I don't mean an idea. You got to know, you got to be able to differentiate between an idea and a plan. But he says, yeah, 3 years I'm here, 5 years I'm here, 10 years I'm here, I'm retiring here. You see? And, you know, if he's righteous, there's nothing else you really need, because the truth is he's established his plan without you. His plan does not take you into account. You are not integral to his operation. Whether you come along, whether you don't, it really doesn't matter. He's going to do whatever he needs to do. Okay? But if you have to go anything, and I'm saying this to the fellas as well, if you have to go anything beyond, you know, you're living a righteous life, you should see that. Boom. Some of your plan, boom. Anything beyond that, leave it alone. If you have to convince and, well, if you want me to submit, who you gonna submit to? Stuff like, just leave her alone. She's a Babylonian idiot. Let her just stay in Babylon and get toe up. Trust me, because one of the things that you always got to remember is that we were scattered throughout the nations. We were scattered. And I know that we have this phenomenon. It's called the phenomenon of proximity. And what it means is that people tend to fall in love with people that they're close to. You know, so like, if you grow up in a certain neighborhood, as a guy, you're going to fall in love with the girl down the street. You know, as a woman, you're going to fall in love with the guy you went to school with or whatever. Y'all from the same. It's just because of proximity. I get it. That makes sense. You know, you relate to each other in a certain way. But this is wartime. And you have to be able to step back sometimes, look at the map, and look at where the bombs are dropping.
Right.
And as far as the decimation has happened here in the West. So this is the bottom of the freaking barrel. This is the bottom of the barrel. You're wading through crud, because we shouldn't have to have so many conversations about finding someone to be with. That's insane. Mm-hmm. When there's so many people on this planet, and we have to have all these because we get with each other and then we just play games. We play text games. We'll take 3 days to call back. We'll take 4 days to text them back. You know, text them like this. Play hard to get. All these little stupid games. You know, and it's not that we're showing a level of charisma to each other. We're just playing games with each other. Mm-hmm. You know, or we just want social media validation. So we put up a bunch of pictures or whatever, act like we're interested. People do that on dating sites. Marry people just to see if they still got it. All kind of games like that. And sometimes you got to back up, look at the map, and say, you know what? Where else are we? Because, you know, because the poison is spreading like ink across paper. This place in the West is completely saturated, and it's spilling. Just like when you go to the continent of Africa, lot of people won't tell you this, but I'm gonna tell you. East Africans are nicer than West Africans. I can tell you that. I have a home in both. I have a home in Tanzania. I have a home in Nigeria and Ghana. East Africans are nicer, and I know why. Because West Africa is the gateway. That's where all the Westerners come through. All the Europeans, they always go there first. So they're mean. They're slick. I mean, there's no secret. We know about the Nigerian scammers, but you don't hear about the Ethiopian scammers. You don't hear about the Rwandan scammers. You don't hear about the Kenyan scammers, the Tanzanian scammers, the Zanzibar scammers. You see, because that ink is spreading, and it's spreading across the continent as well. So go, just like you can go to a restaurant, go to where you get the best service. And that's for male or female. When you sisters approach someone, you don't have to build a brother. Hey, brother, what's your spiritual standing? Boom, 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 boom. Okay, cool. What's the plan? Boom, boom, boom. All right, I'm done. That's it. I don't need to know anything else. You see, and it could be just that simple as it should be. That's what sometimes when people think when they go foreign, people move fast. Like you go to Ghana or here and women, I've heard men say, man, women move so fast. It's not that they move fast or that the brothers move fast. It's that when you remove all the games, there's not much left. But I like you. That's it. There's nothing else left. But when it's all that games in the middle, then you have months and months of games before somebody finally says, I like you. I like you too. But you've been embittered and poisoned by the game. So I would just say, when you're looking at that alpha, it goes both ways. I know we're talking about alpha women, we're out now, but some of these fellas mess up original creative females who come under right rulership, patriarchal rulership, because they're not original. They're not alphas. And alpha doesn't mean that you work out at the gym and you got a bunch of muscles, and you're red pill. Alpha means that you're original. You got an original thought in your big head. All right, I'm going to pass the mic.
Thanks. Oh, Akizak, you got it.
I already had it. I'm going to pass.
Okay. Peace, everyone. Give thanks for this topic of nature, Eden. I really like it. I really think it's a great topic. And you mentioned Deborah earlier, and she was the first female judge mentioned in the Bible. And I looked into Deborah, but from the perspective of Deborah being the fifth Sephiroth on the Kabbalah tree, meaning judgment. So I look at that, and it's really interesting because I think, okay, what does she have to do to be put in that position? For the patriarchs to be okay, you're going to be, the only female judge. And I think about femininity and how many women run from that level of strength because Deborah means strength and bravery. And I think about sometimes I know for me, I can say when it comes to feminine qualities, being soft, being vulnerable, and being open, when I have to do those things, how my heart is pounding and how much nervousness that's coursing through me, in those moments. And I think about women say this is being weak, but why does it feel like I'm overcoming a great feat when I have to be courageous in those moments? Versus it takes no strength or courage to just have no emotional control and just say whatever comes out of your mouth. It takes no strength to do that. Anybody can do that. But when it comes to being soft and open and vulnerable and honest and humble, that's when you see okay, now this is, that this is a rite of passage. It's going to take some character in these moments. But I think about when you all mention being told shut up, how much a woman has to be open to her ego being destroyed. And if you tell a child that, they're not gonna they might feel some type of way, but most times it's they don't take it, as if oh, why did you say that to me? But oftentimes an adult might. But I think about how our job as women is to be refined and to allow ourselves to be upgraded, you know, like how we have to allow the ego to be destroyed. And if we're told, like, shut up, like, you know, you shut up because what you're being told is for your benefit. And, but oftentimes, like in society, in the secular, there are negative connotations when it comes to being vulnerable and soft. Like you get like you hear like the doormat and things like that, and those are terms that like made it seem negative, but not so much, you know, in our culture. So yeah, I just wanted to, you know, share that.
You know, let me throw something out there. Shut up is not your first response.
Right.
I would hope.
Right.
Because shut up is a violent response. If you tell someone to shut up, male or female, you are now enacting violence against them.
Mm-hmm.
And within your home, you don't want to enact violence against people.
Right.
You know, unless they have it. But I'm just saying, you don't want to enact violence against anyone. So, you know,
of course I can laugh.
Sometimes kids be bad as hell. You know what I'm saying? Get a little pop. But you know, the thing is, if you get to the point where you like, shut up, like, I'll give you a quick example. It'll be quick. I remember one time I had gotten, I was passing through a point check, police point check, and I was with this sister, one of my consorts, and she lies all the time, unnecessarily. She just always lies, right? Especially when in the face of authority. So they were doing this. I guess they were doing some construction. This was like a couple blocks from my neighborhood, and we pulled up, and the cop said, "Do you folks live in this neighborhood?" She immediately said, "No," and I didn't even answer yet, and he said, "Drive through here. You got to go around." Right? And I'm looking at her, and I'm like, at that point, I didn't want to change the answer because it's like, all right, you know what, sir, step out of the car. I didn't want one of those kind of incidents. You know what I mean? Because she done already got us out here looking crazy, and we already got dashikis on, and you know what I'm saying, and kufis and stuff. So it's like we're already on thin ice. But I remember pulling off, and I'm like, what the F is wrong with you? Like, and that was a shut your mouth sometimes moment. Because first of all, that was an alien man. That wasn't my brother. That was an alien man leaning into my car. My car. I'm driving. You ain't driving. And, you know, asking me a question, even though he said, folks, he wasn't even looking at you. Why are you talking over me to say something to him? Right? Oh, well, you know, I didn't know, and I guess I panicked, yada, 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 yada. Okay. So, you know, cursed out, whatever, do what I do. I'm not going to sit here and pretend, tell you like, yeah, it's all peace. We went home and pulled out the singing bowls and the sage. Nah, I cursed out, right? So, why literally 4 days after that, she's driving the minivan. She's got the children in the minivan. I think they're coming back from Qigong class. And she's speeding, right? Gets pulled over. My son is in the back seat, and the cop says, "Do you know how fast you were going?" And she says, "I don't know." And my son says, "We were going 93." And she went ballistic.
To be clear.
Right. He shouts from the back, "We were going 93 miles per hour."
He's watching. He's waiting for it to break onto.
You know what I'm saying? He's been counting. And of course, caught the ticket, had to come home, explain it to me, and then explained it to me like I need to discipline him. You know, like, let me tell you what your son did. No, sweetheart. Like, that's called karma. You see this? And I ain't paying that ticket. You paying that ticket. You know what I'm saying? So this is what I'm saying. Like, when it gets to that point, like, of course, like, she rolled up the windows because I remember he came in the house crying. I'm like, what happened? I'm just thinking he did something, and I'm like, that wasn't his fault. It was, but it wasn't, because he's learning that from you. But the point I'm saying is that, yeah, at that point it was like when she rolled the windows up, like, what is wrong with you? You don't talk to them people. Now you don't talk to them people. You know. But the point I'm saying is that should never be your first response. If you have to get to that point, that means you are now handling the person that you love. And if you have to handle them, that's because their higher self has left the room.
Right.
And they are moving like an animal. So you handle animals, you don't handle people. You see what I'm saying? So if you gotta go to like what you like, yeah, we get pulled over, shut up. That's because now you're not moving like someone who's equally yoked with people. Moving from the higher perspective. You're moving from fear, deceit, whatever it is that you've flown with. Or with my son, just stupidity. Like, don't talk to those people. Like, you've been learning that your entire life. When they come around, you shut up. You don't say anything. I taught my children that from a very young age. You ever come in contact with those people, the only thing you give is your age. That's it. You say nothing else. No other word. So for you to give the speed, like, you just tripping. Like, you somewhere else. So I just wanted to share that before anybody thinks like, yeah, because you're an alpha and you just move how you move, you just run around talking to people however you want. Nah, I ain't that, man. You know what I mean? Like, you have to. One of the ways that you motivate and you move your family is through love and humor. If you really want to be an alpha man, you got to learn how to, like Ima Sequoia spoke about that vulnerability and that softness. Most time that comes through humor. If you really want to get people's guards down and really have, certain conversations with them, it's got to be a loving environment. It's got to be a fun environment, so forth and so on. For me, I barely have to say shut up. It's really a look, because the look says it all. Because most of the time you see me, I'm at peace or I'm cracking jokes or whatever. So if you get a different look, it's like nothing else really needs to be said, because this is something that just came from hell. This, whatever this energy is, it just came from hell, and we don't want any of it. So I never really have to get to that shut up point. If it's with a sister, if I got to tell you to shut up, well, I don't know, man. If I got to tell you to shut up, we probably got deeper issues. But I know if you bark back off of a shut up, you ain't got no respect for me anyway. And that means my mojo ain't hitting. Maybe my shirt looks funny that day. I got an oil stain on the front of my shirt. I can't see it. Maybe my crack is showing out of the back of my jeans. I'm just not fly that day. Sometimes, brothers, your mojo ain't working. You'll try that cool shut up stuff. Girl, shut your mouth. And she like, what? It just don't come off the same way, because your cologne is rancid. You done had the same bottle of cologne on the shelf for the past 3 years, and you didn't realize that cologne does go rancid. You stink. And you try to do something that you used to do before, and she like, man, shut up, get out my face. She mush you in the side of your head. Like, okay, my mojo ain't working. So it's best to just try to talk to people. Yeah, just try to have a conversation.
Yeah, so I was gonna walk down that same street. Just when hearing something like "shut up," it's like it made me think of, even the beginning when it said, what's understood doesn't need to be explained, and how many times have we heard even chiefs and the wise only need a hint? And when one has to start saying why you, and this was told to me a while ago too, so I'm not speaking about it, but like, you have to explain why somebody should submit to you. If you have to start, trying to convince somebody this is why, you're not it. You're not it. You're not what you think you are. And when you start moving and operating in your masculinity or as a man, then I'm gonna give you a small example. When we was at the retreat, right, when we was all in that drum circle, and Chief has this voice, right?
Do it. Go ahead, Zach. Go ahead, Zach.
Do it impersonation.
Do it, Zach.
Let me tell y'all something. The tree. The leaves begin to fall. Hey, you might be with your little tambourine just having a good time, right? You might be all hint. You don't have to have somebody come point you out and say, hey, you do this. No, if the wise only need a hint. And there's a hint that says, let me get on note. Let me be with the rhythm of the group so that therefore I don't have to be singled out. But there's a point where I'm not trying to listen to what everybody else is doing. I'm not trying to harmonize with what everybody else is doing. I'm going to play my own note. And then when one has to be singled, it has to be escalated to a point now where somebody has to say, shut up. Do you not hear this? Right? But that's like all the way up to you have ignored every sign before that. Just like when some people say, or they get stuck on this word love. And this person doesn't say you love me, but you have ignored every sign that this person has already told you that. And now all of a sudden, no, it's only because I have to hear this. I'm only hearing this. And then when you hear certain words, it's like, now I'm triggered. Now I'm taking offense to that, which being offended is a choice. So now I'm going to choose in this moment to be offended, because ultimately that's what a society has told me, not to respect one another, which even I heard Chief say that is like, I know you don't respect me. You don't see the light in me. You don't see God in me. So now I'm going to remove that. Just like when we're speaking of even in the Shema, and the education one is like removing prayer, removing God. So now you don't even see that in somebody who's standing in front of you. So now I don't even see somebody who I should respect, even if if I get up here and I challenge somebody and I dare you to hit me, knowing that this person can crush me, but I'm just thinking in my head, I'm gonna sue you if you even touch me. You better not say anything. I'm gonna take your butt to court, and I'm gonna have you, eating ramen noodles for the rest of your life, buddy, or any of this nature, but not respecting what's in front of you. All right, and then now all of a sudden we live on a notion that now I don't have to be in harmony. I don't have to be, I can be out of tune. And if I am out of tune, then this society will back me up, as opposed to saying, you know what, no, let me be equally yoked. So I'm finna walk in alignment and not try to do my own thing. And even started to, when I was listening, it started going back to that, some who he said even would try to date, I tried to date this or go out with this person and it doesn't work. But even though they had or even when Master Menelik had said, I'll submit to a man if he knows what he's doing or something along the lines. But already knowing that that's just a slick way of saying I'm not going to do it. And it started to even lend itself to me that martyr and narcissistic complex of when one starts to, lend themselves to look, I try to do this and I try to do that and I'm just hurt. And then they start to claim themselves as a victim. And then you're so confused as to why things are not working out. But they're inviting these things into their life. So it's just a matter of, can one hear all of the subtle notes before it has to escalate to that? Like even in the sense of, one would speak of corporal punishment. Before you get a whooping, you probably got to look. Did you ignore the look and still kept going? Like, I don't, whatever, I'm going to keep doing this. All right, now you forcing my hand. All right, now, man, if you don't want to get that, now we okay, let's take it there. But again, can you be in alignment, and can you hear that subtle note to be in alignment, to be in tune, and to harmonize with the group?
That's
no.
No, go ahead, brother. So
I was just going to say
example. Damn, my timing.
Oh yeah.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. You go.
Yeah, I was just going to say that the look even reinforces something that you were already taught. I grew up getting that look. It's never fun being on the receiving end, but it's also never fun having to even give the look, because it's like having to give that count. It's not. We should be on point. But yeah, that's what I wanted to say. That's what I wanted to add.
Yeah, I just was saying, the example was awesome because that whole being bigger and louder than what's wrong. That's an alpha energy, right? So yeah, even though Zach cracking on me, but you know what I mean? Yeah, okay, so I have a deep voice. We all know by now. But, you know, I mean, listen, sometimes I listen to those podcasts and I be like, man, he sounds like a demon. I'm like, I don't know how people listen to me because I sound like a freaking demon sometimes when I talk, you know? But, hey, man, y'all still riding with me, so I appreciate it. To me, it sounds like something from hell.
Oh my, no.
I mean, listen, that's why I don't listen to the podcast. I'm like, I can't go back and listen to that stuff. It'd be like, he just cheated you out. I'm like, ugh, what the hell is that? I need a voice like Morris Chestnut, something like regular John. But yeah, the thing about it is that it is that superseding with the louder. You know what I mean? And there's great value to that. And I think I learned a lot of that just through music. You know, when you're playing, sometimes you might be doing a solo or you might do a run or something and you go off, you know, or on the on stage monitors are not, you can't hear properly. You gotta listen for that kick drum. As long as you can tune back into that kick drum, you can get back to where you're supposed to be. You know, that doom, 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 whatever it's doing, right? And that's the loud force, because really to me it's sonic energy. You know, it's like the ability, you know, even like let's say if you're getting ready to get into a squabble with somebody, right? And while you sitting there I'm from New York, so we always pull up our pants first, no matter what's happening. Even we got suspenders on, we're pulling up our pants. You know what I mean? So, and especially nah, New York, we don't really take. It depends on what the fit. It depends on what borough you from. All right, let me keep it a buck. It depends on your borough. A Harlem dude might take off his shirt because they're gonna be dressed impeccably. You know what I mean? So they might start taking off a shirt. If you from Brooklyn, though, well, first you got to tell the dude you from Brooklyn. It all starts right there.
First of all,
you know where I'm from?
From Brooklyn.
Like, after you say you know where I'm from Brooklyn, and then you pull your pants up and you punch. You know what I'm saying? But that's the order. If it don't go in that order, he ain't really from Brooklyn. He probably from Staten Island or something like that. But if you from Brooklyn, you say you know where I'm from. You say I'm from Brooklyn. Then you pull your pants up. Then you punch. You see what I'm saying? Now, but if you like a Brooklyn Jamaican, you ain't gonna punch. You gonna kick. You know, so it's gonna be that front kick.
That front, yes, it's a front. You know, it's a straight.
It's gonna kick you out
to the chest.
You're like, boy, I don't know, his kicks all in my chest. And then, or if it's like, if he looking down, that means he looking for something to hit you with, a brick or something. That's you know you either messing with a dude from Guyana, or one of them Jamaican. They're looking for a brick or a rock or something to hit you with. But yeah, so where was I at, man? Oh man, see what I'm saying? The kick drum, right? How did I get on over there from over there? Yeah, so I don't know. I got from one place to the other, but you know, so the thing is like finding that one. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like even in a like if you about to get into a situation with someone and you hear him like, if you hear him go like, oh. You know you about to get your butt kicked. That's a karate man right there. That's a karate man. Oh, something like that. If you hear some kind of weird breathing noise like that, he about to beat the crap out of you with all kind of karate chops. You see what I'm saying? All that talking, karate man don't do all that talking. You see what I'm saying? Oh. See what I'm saying? He preparing his system for murder. He preparing himself for homicide. You see what I'm saying? So that's when you start like, you know what, man, this ain't even, you know what, just go your way, I'm gonna go my way. He can't even hear you. He breathing, he's about to kill you. So the thing is, it's the sound. You see what I'm saying? I remember one day coming back from, we were sparring in the park, walking with some brothers. There was these brothers across the street getting ready to fight. And my man ran across, he didn't even run, he what we call closing the gap. I'll teach y'all that another point, maybe the next. retreat, but he closed the gap on them real quick. Basically, he got up to them real close, and he just hollered, "Stop!" And the energy of that stop, it was like, it sounded like it could have knocked windows out in storefronts. It was so strong, and they just like, they stopped. And then we now, me and the other brothers did, we crossed the street, whatever, we talking, but at that point he's talking to him. He was like, "Yo, so what happened?" And then and what? And then, come on, man, that didn't even, but it was that initial stop, So the example that brother Zach brought up was so powerful, because that became the first cause. He became the alpha in that moment, because he brought a vibration that was more unique and peculiar to that environment than anything else that was there. You see, that's what made him the alpha. So it's just like, he's like, "Oh, he got this deep voice." Yeah, it is what it is, man. Right? But it's a unique thing. So if we're doing music or whatever, or even, shoot, when the children were acting up, when we were doing archery and they wouldn't get in line, I don't even have to holler. I wasn't like, I said, "Hey, that hey is enough." And because it sounds so disruptive to the environment, because it's so different. And in that moment, that's how you create that alpha or that aleph. It's that first cause, that unique first cause, and then you go from there. So even if you're doing music together, and sometimes it was off and I had to walk to a different section. Okay, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. Or I'd sing at that section to align them to, this is what we're doing. All right, this is what we singing. We singing this, but it creates that lane. It cuts a lane like Ogun, because it provides, again, that first cause. And that's so critical. And everyone has a note. It doesn't have to be deep and loud, but everyone has their thing that they cut. And when they cut it, they become the alpha. You look at like an Old Dirty Bastard, you look at James Brown, people who we've never seen again, because they cut their note in a way that was so unique and so original that there was no getting beyond it. You couldn't get past what happened. Ancient Kemet. Ancient Kemet cut a note that it was like, man, we still can't figure out how they cut this freaking rock like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like with laser precision. Still can't figure it out.
Right.
Because of the peculiarness of their originality. So I just wanted that was a great example that Brother Zach brought up. It's just you being original in a space, and that cleans out whatever's errant. So if y'all playing off beat or off note or whatever, those are errant vibrations to our harmony. So it takes somebody to say, this is the kick. Boom, boom. This is our root note that we're gonna foundate on. And I'm gonna be consistent in that root note. Or just that stop. And reminding you that this is not what we do. This is not our energy. And on top of that, I could beat the daylights out of both of y'all right now. You see me coming with the gym bags and stuff. Obviously, I know how to fight, right? And there's 5 other brothers crossing the street with me. So, but it's that original note that creates that, that unity that we can't be afraid to put out there, as opposed to just responding to what society is throwing at us.
I wanted to build a little bit on that, what Chief was talking about. Peace, everybody. This is Mangbab. When that errant vibration of yelling stop, for example, that's something that I really resonate with, because, for example, in my community we have a big trash problem, right? We live by the beach, and people constantly come to the local beach and they throw trash on the ground. And people know they don't want to do that. People always complain about the trash problem in Haiti, but so few take the time to actually do something about it intrinsically. And it happens almost every weekend or every now and then. Someone will be right by my house, and they'll drop something on the ground, almost right by my doorstep. And I might not even be in the house, or I might be in the neighborhood on the street, and then I'll just yell like, "Yo, in Creole means like, what's up? And automatically, the person, if he was with a group of 2 or 3 people, you see them stop because intrinsically people have that understanding of right and wrong inside of them. And the self-judgment and the community judgment comes back to that realization, yeah, maybe you should have thrown that water bottle on the ground right there. And that using the vibration, the voice, the authority that we have the ability to use, it resonates with people. And even when they're not receptive, kind of when they're off guard, when they're just walking around and they get that striking, yo, what's up? Intrinsically, people have that sense of justice that comes back. I feel at least that comes back and they do what's right. So I wanted to share that.
That even made me think of on the Darren post when he just said, people dropping the trash, and how many might not even be aware of their own trash that they bring into a space or a community, of being that errant note or that errant that's not playing. So now everybody's laughing and joking, and then the next thing you know, somebody comes in. Right, and then they start slowing the whole energy down, and I'm just gonna suck that energy out of them. I'm just gonna put my trash right here in the middle of it and not be with everybody. Now it takes somebody courageous, somebody, hold on, man, we ain't doing that. Like, that's not the note that we on now. And again, there might have been hits all the way up, there was already a hint, there's already a flow that everybody is in, but because one now wants to do their own thing, it takes some time now and escalate. Even after the chief was talking about pulling pants up, people say, stop playing with the person, man. They're not interested in it anymore. And leave them alone. Some people don't get the hint. Okay, well, now you're gonna get that beat down. That's coming to you. But again, catch the hints that are in front of you. And even in the beginning of enlightenment and transformation, it was like telling, go boldly, take your light boldly into the dark space. You can't be a punk when you're being a man. Say what needs to be said. Don't be tiptoeing around, because then now your mate or whoever doesn't know what they're supposed to be doing at the same time, because you're unclear of what you're supposed to be. Boldly, this is what it is. This is what we're doing. Now, either you can catch the hint, you'll catch the vibration, and you'll start playing tune, or I got to get rid of this instrument and get me another.
That's a good point, Zach. Like, in terms of the version of the rhythmic energy, because that is an age-old condition or age-old phenomenon where people consistently seek to take the alpha, and I mean, obviously you have in Torah, you have in Ifa, where there's always someone who receives a certain gift or receive a certain charm or ability. There's another Orisha that's like, I want that. Give me that. I want to be able to breathe fire. Give me that. Or why didn't Elohim give me the instruction? Well, I'll speak to the Seraphim and he'll give me instruction. But there's always someone who sees what the Father had on this Father's concubine. We have stories about that. Goes to that trying to steal the rhythm. When you're moving in a certain way, sometimes people will try to plant their platform on top of what you got going. So like everybody's moving a certain way. We're building. Someone comes in with a real kind of, I'm sloppy. I'm choppy. I'm sloppy. If I'm still real choppy, I'll stop. Somebody tell me if I'm super choppy.
You're clear now.
I'm clear now? Cool. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you're good.
Sloppy choppy. I ain't giving no sloppy toppy either. But so what I'm saying is that it's that trying to hijack the rhythm. You know what I mean? Because you've built up a certain energy, and there are people who will sit back in the wings and wait while you build up a vibration, and they will then say, okay, now let me see if I can steer it this way, if I can take it this way. Because it's a reflective shadow sort of thing, like gate what you do. Sometimes I even notice that, like, I might put up an IG post, go in a certain direction, and then one will put a comment in another direction, thinking that they drop in a. Yeah, man, you ain't saying.
Oh, the choppiness is coming back.
Oh, the choppiness is coming back. All right, I'm gonna fall back there, man, because I can't stand trying to figure out what people are saying when it's choppy, man. So I don't want to be that guy.
Okay. What you said just now did remind me, Chief, about 3%, right? What Aki Al-Ghura was breaking down this past Thursday. The character Marco, when they were dealing with there was a scene basically where all of the characters were trapped in a room, and they had to basically figure out a sequence in order to get food, because they were already there for like 10 hours without food. So they figure out the sequence, or one of the characters figures out the sequence, and he sort of rallies everyone else, to this is what we need to do. We have to work together. And it isn't until like things go sort of left where they realize they get a bunch of food, but this is all the food they're gonna get. And someone else, he has an idea, and then someone else has an idea. And you can see, like, when the other person's idea is accepted, like, his whole demeanor changes. When he was large and in charge, quote unquote, or when he was steering the flow, he was okay with it. But when someone else came up with a solution, like his whole, it's almost like in Genesis with Cain, when Yahuwah was like, why is thy countenance fallen? Like, why the long face? You were the one who was helping everybody to get what they needed. Now all of a sudden, because the solution isn't coming from you, now you're ego tripping. You're feeling butthurt, and now you want to sulk off into the distance and find another way to, put yourself back on top, quote unquote. That's what that made me think of, that vibration of trying to steal the alpha's light, or the original light.
Yeah, man, and that's just corny. Like, at the end of the day, it's super corny. If you are original people and you come from a creator, not that you were manufactured on the earth, but you actually come from a divine spark, then you should be able to come up with your own thing. So just hijacking or sitting and waiting in the wings, that's a satanic thing. The brain or Satan, they're the same thing. The brain waits to mirror what the mind creates. And it does it in a way that is so low vibrational, it will have you thinking that it's the originator of it. Like when we do something, someone says, oh, that was amazing, that was a great idea. What do we start doing? We start telling them, well, I was thinking about this when I did it. And I was like, you wasn't doing nothing. It came from the universal mind, and it was filtered down and secreted into your brain. And then your brain interpreted some of it. It's no different than a dream. When we have a dream and we say, I dreamed about this and this one told me that, no one told you anything, because spirits don't speak. Spirits give you images, and they give you, they just give you images and symbols. And then your brain does the most it can to try to interpret that into some kind of words, and then create something from there. But everything that the brain is giving you from that interpretation is latent. None of it is primal. None of it is original. I mean, it's no different than when you read scripture. Scripture is all of it. They say, oh, it's inspired by God. Yeah, it is all that, but it's all latent. Because even if we read in the Torah and we read that Elohim is spirit, and those that worship him in spirit and truth, well, we know that spirits don't speak. So that means that whatever words are here are not words that were given. It was symbols and ideas and visions that were given. And then someone said, okay, well, let me write how my, to the best of my brain's ability to interpret that thing. So it's all latent. You know what I mean? But if you can come from the perspective where you can bypass the brain, that's when things get a little bit more powerful. And you bypass the brain, you take it straight from the heart, and then you manifest out from there. Then now you're moving with something original. And some of us have that capacity to be able to do that. But to function from a reflex, that's corny. So the rest of your life, everything you do is going to be a reaction to. And that's something to kind of think about. Even when we're speaking about alpha standards and we're talking about where are the alpha women, are we defining the alpha woman by what society has told us the alpha woman is? Because then that is, again, a reaction to someone else's cause. But what does first cause tell me? If I have an original spark inside of my mind that goes into my spirit, and that first cause says, okay, this is how you move, and this is where you are. When I put a call out for my alpha woman is going to be a twin flame mirror reflection and image of that first cause flame and spark. Not, oh, well, man, you're this type of brother, what kind of sister you need? You need a sister who's kind, and you need a sister this. Maybe I don't. Maybe I need an evil woman. Maybe I need a heartless woman based on where my spark is. You see, because every alpha energy is going to be different, based upon that. But it goes back again to that. Are we original people or not? Are we original people or are we Tamahu? And Tamahu, as you know, means the created bright man. Are we the Tamahu or are we those who came from the abysmal waters who started this thing out in the beginning? And that is the Aleph. That is the Alpha. And are we defining our Omega? Because there's a span between Alpha and Omega. You also have Sigma women and Sigma men. There's a value in Sigma. There's a value in Delta. There's a value in Beta, right? But if we are the Alpha, our destination has to be Omega. It's not that you walk through if you walk through your entire life being the Alpha, then you're in the wrong space. You're in the wrong room. Because your children, at the very least, should be the Alpha. Right. They should supersede you, because at some point you should be the Omega. I'm the end. Now you take it from here. You take the baton, and you take it to where I didn't take it, or where I didn't choose to take it. And now you be the next Alpha, and that may mean, again, it goes from that descendant thing, that Omega, descendant of greatness. But you only establish the massive greatness first when you establish originality. You can't do anything without establishing, because your originality is your character. Your character is your imprint. It's your mark. Until I have that seal or that mark or that glyph or that imprint, I can't even think about being Aleph. I can't even think about being Alpha until I first determine what the heck is my character. Because until I know my character, am I a freaking B? Am I a Z? Am I an L? Am I a Phoenician character? Like, what is my shape? Until I know my character, I don't know my purpose. Just by knowing my character, I know what character came before me and what character comes after me. I know what number I am in the range of characters. I mean, there's so many different things we could play with when it comes to that. But then that also tells me purpose. And then from there, I know, okay, this is the Alpha woman for me.
One of the, yes, Yakira.
Oh, no, you go right ahead, brother.
Yes. One of the things that resonated with me with what you said, and the annual members that do have children, you can confirm to me of this, because I don't have children myself. But from seeing my sister and some friends, and when they have their children, and at first, what I feel is that the alpha, being the child being born, if you in your life have not been living as an alpha alpha man or an alpha woman, that child being born directly emulates that without speech, just by its presence. And you're in the presence of the alpha, and you're submitting to that child for the beginning of the first couple of years, when you have to serve him, you have to feed him, you have to bathe him or her. So those of us who choose to have children earlier in life, and who might not be prepared, I feel that the children come to us as our greatest teachers, and they come to us as the alpha to show us what we need to emulate. And that submission that we have to the children is the submission that, not the submission, but it's the authority we should be also carrying within our lives. That silent authority a little baby creates. So those that do have children, you can resonate. You can let me know if that resonates and if that makes any sense.
I'm gonna jump back on that, and I'm gonna let it off. Yes and no, but mostly no, because you got to remember the alpha is the beginning. So it's just like when I taught the class on Genesis or Bereshit, in the beginning, the Elohim created heaven and earth, and then I showed you that in the beginning was actually in the mind, right? So like when you say a man may live his life as an alpha or not live his life as an alpha, that doesn't matter, because that's latent. That's an after effect of his beginning. His beginning is always in the mind. And then that's going to determine, because when he impregnates a woman, he's injecting his mind into her, not necessarily the character of who he is on the planet. Now the child may inherit the karma of who he is on the planet, but it's his highest aspirations. Quick example, when I bought my first house, I had this for many years. I wouldn't let anybody work in my house. So I had to redo my kitchen. I did my whole kitchen by myself. Gas lines, electrical lines, plumbing, everything, my two hands, because I felt that that's what a man is supposed to do. A man works on all his own stuff. This was the idea that I got from my father. I remember when he got his first house, and I remember him doing some things, like basically a memory I always have of him is doing his popcorn ceiling, which was his style back in the days. But whatever, they don't really do that anymore. But he was doing his popcorn ceiling, so I'm like, okay, my father works on his own house. I got to work on my own house. But I remember my father coming to visit once, and he was like, I might have been putting up some drywall or something. I don't know what I was doing, because I did so much. And I was like, yeah, so when you do it like this and that, he was like, I don't know how to do that. I never did that. I was like, what? And he was like, man, I ain't into all of that. I never did that. And then I was doing some work with the gas lines. He was like, man, because he was into electronics. He was like, I'll deal with the electrical, but I don't play with gas. Gas is dangerous. And I had put in a new water heater and whatnot myself, and I'm realizing in this moment, I'm grown now, but I'm like, all this freaking time, I'm over here overachieving, and I probably done passed this dude up 10 years ago and didn't even know it, because I'm thinking he's Superman. And he's like, because I had to have some work done on my roof. He was like, man, you need to call my man Julio, man. I have him come over and look at it. He'll bring his guys up. Julio? I thought we was going to climb up there and rip them shingles off, So that's the thing. In his mind, it's funny because my father, he has a song that he did, Legend in His Own Mind. But he was a legend in his own mind, So that legend, he made my mother the vessel of. So now I took on that idea of, okay, now I have to be the alpha step, or the Oludumare, which is the seed of the serpent's womb. I have to be the next seed evolution from the legend. But in waking three-dimensional life, he wasn't. He had all kind of contractors. He would call and come fix that. I don't feel like doing this. I don't feel like doing that. So in the beginning is in the mind, not necessarily because our karma is personal. We feel out the effects of our karma on the individual level, But the pacts that we create on the mental plane, on the mind plane, that's what we have the ability. That's what, when we say be fruitful and multiply, being fruitful means to spread consciousness. And consciousness is not spread from body to body. Body is only territory. This body creates wars and killing and all kind of things, because you have a sense of territory, you have a sense of omega, you have a sense of ending. But when you're dealing with mind, consciousness has a sense of going out into the infinite. And the infinite doesn't necessarily mean it's eternal. It just means it goes on forever. But that's not eternal necessarily. So the mind is what is fruitful and goes out to all your children and all of that. But your more condensed, crystallized form, that's for you to deal with.
Peace, everyone.
Peace now.
What's going on?
Peace, brother.
I wanted to talk about. I'm late. I heard you talking about the joyfulness of that alpha brings, and how the family is built on a lot of love and funniness and happiness and stuff like that. I wanted to touch on that because I see it in my family where all of the men, like, we're all very joyful. Like, we like to make people laugh. We like to play around a lot. Some people might say we play too much. You know what I'm saying? So, but when it gets serious, it's like, it's serious. So there's like a difference. It's like that contrast is real serious when you see like that smile go away, and then you see that look, and then it's now, okay, we got to get serious now because they're usually not like this. So I just wanted to bring that up, and being that that major scale, in music you have that major scale. It sounds more happy, sounds more light. It's more, like sun, like the sun's coming out. But it's like when we change up and it's not happy, it's not funny anymore. Like, things are getting serious. You really know. So it brings that stark contrast, and now it's like, it's getting serious. We gotta change up the energy. Whatever we're doing right now, we're probably not doing the right thing. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say the opposite. I think y'all play as much as y'all should, but I hate, especially your pops, I hate when he's serious. It's just an uncomfortable experience. It all around. It's just super uncomfortable. So I would say it's the opposite. His father has an energy. Well, your brother's like that, and your grandfather. Well, but more so your father, because he and I, we regular joke, crack on people, regular joke. But when he turns up, it's like he pulls you into it, which I hate. So like, you can't even play good cop, bad cop. You know what I mean? Like, I've been in spaces with him where he's turned up, and then he's turned to me like, know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, I do know what you're saying, but I didn't want to be in this. So I was actually gonna wait till you left the room and come back and be like, yo, just don't worry about him. He's just But yeah, you blew that for me. So we in it now. So I would say it's actually the opposite. But y'all are all Shango. You come from a family of Shangos. You got Obatala's in it, but Shango is clearly in your space. So you're gonna have that red hot. You're gonna have that white. Go back and forth. I mean, your grandfather, like, I don't know, he's probably told you the stories of who he was back in the days, and now he's all love, but that's just the transition of Ogun to Obatala.
So you got red for hot, you got white for Obatala. What color's for late?
What color's for late? Well, let's see what Z was now wearing, because he's late on every time. He's Arisha late
now. I just wanted to jump in and just say thank you for the phenomenal build. There is no exploration of the alpha woman without a clear definition and exploration of the alpha male. So I thank you, Chief Yuya, and all of the brothers who helped to expound on that. This was a really fantastic, for me, edifying and fantastic build, and I will it was the same for you all. There were so many gems, and I tried to jot a few down. I think some of the themes that ran throughout is the idea that, for one, the alpha is the biggest servant. And so in that, there takes a clear connection to your creator, as well as obedience to the vision. For those of us who are, digging into what it means to be that alpha woman, obedience was the key. I know something that was said is that if we're a slave to disobedience, that can only lead to a separation, right, from headship. If your desire is to be the light and not reflect the light, that speaks to a lack of submission and obedience, and therefore you're more than likely out of tune, out of rhythm, and I'm sorry. And it looks like, I think Instagram has a time limit that I have to be cognizant of. So with that, my apologies.
Everybody knows about that. It's 60 minutes. It's been that.
Yes, well,
Just to put it out there.
Yes. Well, there you have it. So thank you. So with that, there were lots of takeaways. The thing that kept ringing true through all of the shares, with being able to move as an alpha, or even know if you are, if you aren't, recognizing what your character is. The idea that my sheep hear my voice, even when the brothers were expounding on the idea of needing to tell someone to shut up, tell a woman to shut up. It's like, in my mind, I'm thinking, how did it even get that far, right? The energy, there were comments in the chat about the look. It's like the look should have come. That should let you know, all right, it's time to be quiet, time to shut it up. There should have been many prompts if you're, in harmony and in tune with your headship and that space. So with that, if there aren't any other comments or lessons or tips, I'm going to close out and just say thank you all for joining. Of course, if you're interested in applying to be sponsored, you can go to anulifeglobal.org. And of course, you're going to enter into Anu Man or the Anu Womb space and complete the application process or the application form. And there'll be a deliberation to make a decision as to who would be willing to sponsor you through this phenomenal orientation experience. And there are a few of our initiates on the call. And so that's a great thing. And also, of course, there are a myriad of, so I'll get into that. I see a question in the chat.
I got a question.
Yes.
Because this is like you peeling off this Band-Aid real slow. First of all, you shut down our conversation we was having, number one.
Oh.
You close. No, you know what you did. Then you're closing down the show. You're like, if there's no other questions, you didn't even give us a chance to jump in. All right, you clearly got some things you want to do today.
No. I do not. This is my thing to do for the entire day.
Yeah, all right. You know where I'm from?
First of all, from Brooklyn. I shut it down. Clearly.
So here's the thing. How do we, as alpha men, find alpha women?
Who is that a question for me?
Why shouldn't it be? You so bold, you shutting down the show. So you want to be the Omega?
I had no intention of shutting down this show.
Apocalypse.
Apocalypse. Blow it up. I would say I'll take a stab at it. I would say, based on a discussion today, an alpha man would find his alpha woman by walking fully in his purpose and understanding and recognizing his character, what he is. And by reflecting that, she will magnetize and be pulled right into his orbit. That's my answer. Oh no.
That was really poetic.
Oh, good. Good.
Yeah. So can we get something more practical from someone?
You go to a church or a library.
Oh.
Good clean woman.
What? He comes to on. Oh wait, I got it. He applies to be sponsored and comes to Anu for his righteous alpha woman. Bing, 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 bing.
I don't think
you can make grits on his corniness.
I can't. The betrayal. Oh gosh.
Yeah, I don't think any of that's gonna work. You know, I just asked for some practical solutions because you got a lot of lonely people out here, lonely men, lonely women, and you know, how do they get past that barrier? You know, or does an alpha person, do they get to the point where they're not even thinking about it anymore? Does alphahood come as a result of the pain of dealing with American nonsense? And it's like, you know what? Like MGTOW, I'm just gonna go my own way and do my own thing now and just focus on myself.
Well, if you're that alpha, I would imagine that you're really a slave to your purpose and obedient to the vision. So just by doing that, maybe you aren't actively seeking out a mate. But through navigating in different spaces and being what you are in those spaces, I would imagine that, and maybe it's not concrete, but in doing that, you don't have to do anything more.
Okay, so if I were to say, let me see, we have you, we have Sister Yafe, we have Ima Sequoia, Naya, we have Makoti Yamina, we have Akuya. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Anu women who are on the line, right? So if I charged you 6 women to go out and get 2 more alpha women, how do you think you would accomplish that?
Well, until somebody else unmutes, I would accomplish that.
They're alphas, but you know, they scared alphas.
The alpha's on mute. Okay, I see you, Yafe. Go ahead.
She ain't gonna say that. That was just a cackle. That was an alpha cackle. that was a rally cry for help.
No. I think it means we have to put ourselves in those spaces, and even before that.
I'm saying, what does that mean? Put ourselves in those spaces. What does that mean?
Meaning we have to go to where those women are or might be.
They?
You know, that's a good question.
Well, that was the first question.
Because, well, I think, like as you said, this just people are so saturated with westernized mentality. Like it's almost like to find what? I'm sorry. Nah.
So those women are.
Peace.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm thinking that we would attract them by modeling and being of service ourselves. So, like, if the Anu women are charged with, let's say, being entrepreneurs and we're running businesses, and women are attracted to what you're doing and are asking questions, and I think that's how we would bring them in. Like, oh, they come in like, I like what you're doing, I want to be a part of it. And you say, well,
that means they're betas. That means they're followers. They're betas. If they see what you're doing, listen, I have other homeboys who do podcasts and stuff. I ain't listened to one episode. Sometimes people, you heard the episode. Nah, I ain't listening to your freaking podcast. I'm busy. I got my own thing. I'm a producer. You're a producer. I ain't got time to be. Nah, I might click a like on something. That's just me being nice, but I ain't listening to that. I got things to do. So how do you get that? Remember, the alpha is the beginning. It's the original spark, the original thought. How do you get another originator?
Through collaboration. So if there is another originator who's doing something that I could partner with because I'm doing my something, and we come together to form something else, that's an opportunity where we continue to both remain an alpha in our field and originators, but we collaborate and build something new.
Okay, that's a good answer. So if I'm
booyah, no,
ain't no booyah yet. Maybe a boo, but ain't no yah. So the thing is, if I'm a man wanting to attract an alpha woman, then you telling me I should do it under the guise of business partnership?
No, it doesn't necessarily have to be under the guise of business partnership. It could be exploring opportunities to, again, collaborate. Maybe it isn't a partnership, but it could be providing a specific service or pulling in a service that she may provide. It could be that, you do community organizing, you have an event, and
let's partner up.
One more time, partner. Yes.
Because I think you're saying partner.
I'm gonna beat that horse. Yes.
but that's not authentic though.
Okay.
Because I want to impregnate her.
Wow. Then shouldn't that just be? But the original question was, how do I find her?
Say that.
If the original, okay, a queer is coming.
Like, you want some babies?
Actually, I have said that before, so that one actually works, believe it or not.
I got some babies for you. Want some babies?
That one actually works. But I'm just saying, we're talking about, I mean, a lot of it sounds like theory, but I know that there's a lot of women, there's a lot of men who, okay, here's an example of like the worst thing, in my opinion. I'm gonna do it eventually. I just haven't gotten around to it. A breakdown. There's a breakdown on like one of the most amazing characters that we've had on TV that people skip over. They see him as something that he's not. Steve Urkel, right? Steve Urkel, to me, is one of the greatest examples of an alpha male that we've had displayed in media in like, very long, probably since Hawk. A man called Hawk that came out in the 80s. But Steve Urkel, right? And Steve Urkel, similar to like Clark Kent when he went and got with Lois Lane, like goes after Laura, who's this plain, she doesn't really do it. She's a cheerleader, but yeah, she's kind of cute, but there's nothing special about her. Whereas he has, I think her name was Myra, something like that. Not
Myra. Myra was
right?
my first crush.
Yeah, Myra, she was bad. Now, mind you, I've only seen probably about 3 episodes of Family Matters. It was so corny I couldn't watch it. Plus, I think it was on that TGIF Fridays. I was out, but I do know who. Or, you know what I'm saying? I do remember when he built the robot and all that. I'm like, yo, this dude is next level. And he was like not afraid to go after the woman that he wanted. Like he was a straight up alpha male, right? But lowered himself to chase this female who was regular degular. And treated him like garbage for the most part, and pushed the one aside who was servicing him and supporting him, who was also really smart too, because she was a nerd, for this one over here, So the point I'm saying is that how do we not end up like Urkel? Because she only wanted him because he was Stefan. She'd be like, all right, yeah, you know what I mean? But how do we as men or as women not fall into that trap and make sure that we are connecting with that twin flame, that twin energy that represents also that mirrored and merited creativity and originality.
Well,
Yeah, I guess y'all ain't got no answers for me. So, yeah, so I would think that if we go back to our original stories of how this happened, we would understand that deities, when they create spawn, that they always create them in pairs. That's what I would start with. So in order for me to find my other pair, I would have to go back to the source and either ask, like, okay, can I get that now? Am I ready for that now? Or to ask that my eyes be open to be able to spot what that pair is, so that I'm getting what was made for me in the very beginning, because it's sitting there, and of course there's no concept of time, so I can have it whenever I want it. I could meet my twin flame, quote unquote. I'm just using that terminology. It doesn't really mean anything, but I can meet my twin flame when I'm 11, 12 years old. If because there's no concept of time. So I would think if I'm looking for an alpha, that I'm not going to float around Loda. I'm not going to float around Lambda. I'm not going to float around Eta or Kappa or Nu or Mu, or these other stages of what we'll call form-centric philosophy. But I'm going to go back to my original position of causation, and my original position of causation is going to be my alpha position, because that's where everything flows from cause to effect. So the effect that I want is I want my mate. That's the important thing that I'm seeking to find. So let me go back to Aleph, or what I'm yoked to my alpha root. And I guess if I was a Christian or something, I'd say I pray to God, and I pray to God, and God would reveal to me who it is that's for me. Maybe I might recognize that I'm in my sleep season. The sleep season is my creative season. And while I'm asleep, there's a woman being fashioned for me who's made from me. Maybe that's happening at the same time. So that means I have to be willing to be put to sleep. Be willing to, which means the big sleep, like we talk about the sleep of Rama, in our Vedics, but that's the time of creativity. When all of the beautiful and artistic things come about. So it's similar to like what Na was saying about his family. Like there's that you got your major scale, which is masculine. It's bright, it's happy, and your minor scales are feminine. They're more dark sounding. Most of our music we like is minor scale music, but it's the feminine. So in order for me to find my mate, I have to go to where my mate is. So if Hawa or Eve was pulled out of the depths of my subconscious mind, I have to go into my subconscious mind to find her. And if I was a woman, if I was pulled out of him, I have to go out. I have to go into the bright sun in order to be found, or to magnetize myself to Adoma. That's what I would think. But I mean, feel free to put me up on some other game.
Yeah, magnetize. I agree.
Yeah, that's what you said.
I did. That was the one word in the whole thing. No, absolutely. Give thanks for that, for the question and the corresponding answer, Chief Yuya. While you were sharing, I will just go over to the chat on YouTube, where Naya was reflecting your responses right back. When selecting a companion, seek the face of the Creator. Your chosen mate will be revealed to you. She also said the Most High. But you know what? I don't know why I'm reading what she said, because I do believe she's sitting down in the chat space here. Punk move, but okay, I'm going to keep reading her stuff. There may be other times that you may see them, in a night vision, regardless of how they are revealed, commune with the divine. And then she goes on to say, make sure you are functioning beyond chemistry, desire, opportunity, desperation, and good vibes. And of course, this is all quoted from the Anu Way. So she was reflecting exactly what we all should have been in a position to speak to, as it's coming directly from the text that we study.
And none of you did. So I guess you didn't read that part.
And welcome Ima Akuya to the space. I saw that you came into the forum. Is there something you wanted to contribute?
No, not at the time.
Then why would you come in as a speaker?
Yeah, I cannot. You have got to speak now. Come on.
No, I didn't. I didn't. I was busy working and
what?
Wait a minute.
No, what are you doing? How are you making sense?
And she came up right when you summoned all the women. You acknowledged all of the Anu women in the space, and she didn't come up and ain't got nothing.
You gotta hit like 2 buttons just to come in. That's something you did by accident.
No, it wasn't anything I did by accident, but I was making myself available at the time.
What?
Anyway.
So that's just a sale.
Right.
Let me.
She's like, I am no longer available. Let me come off of the speaking podium.
Actually, that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to figure that out.
Nah. You in this now? You can't leave.
Like, open that mic. First of all.
You got me getting your voicemail.
As she remains on mute. Well, yeah. Give thanks for the edification. We're gonna be here all day because I'm not going to dare try to close out. Nope.
You was trying to shut us out before. It's all good. I'm just saying I just wanted to address, because sometimes we talk about these concepts and how beautiful it is to have certain things, but then it's like, okay, but how do I get that? So that's why I just wanted to at least address that, even if we didn't have solid answers, or like solid steps, I just wanted to address that, like, yeah, okay, now let's put this into action. And of course, your first step.
I'm sorry.
Going back to alpha.
I'm sorry, it broke up a little bit, maybe just for me.
Here you go with the bull crap. All right, this is the conspiracy.
No, go ahead. You just said first step and it broke out. Pardon.
It cut my wisdom. So what I'm saying is that clearly it's just about going back to the source, the alpha, seeing what you're yoked to. Because when you see what you're yoked to is your purpose. We say that we're yoked to the Most High. Yes, but what part of the Most High? We're not all yoked to the same thing. Some of us are yoked to a hand, some of us are yoked to a foot, some of us are yoked to an eye. So that determines what the purpose is. We make up the body itself, and each part of the body has a different purpose. So going back to purpose is how we determine, again, what is my first alpha cause. Once you're able to do that, and that by itself may be a really scary process, because it may require a lot of stripping. You might realize, well, man, I just spent, maybe $100,000 on school, and it ain't got nothing to do with what I was called to do. I spent 10, 15, 20 years doing this. It got nothing to do with this. And sometimes that's the biggest part of your work. But once you get into that space, then the doors of what's supposed to be for you then open to you. Whether it's, I'm supposed to have this, 3-4 wives that's supposed to reflect this. Or I'm supposed to have a man that's supposed to reflect that, and children and friends and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That happens when you get into position. So we get into position by going back to the beginning again. Because until we go to the beginning, and we as original people have to do that. That's not the cause for everybody. Some people could start at gamma because they fall into the gamma range. We're not Bruce Banner. We don't fall into gamma. We fall into alpha. We were here first. We have no history, no record when we first appeared on the planet Earth. We're here first. So we have to start with alpha and understand what that means and what the heck it is that we're yoked to. in the unseen. So yeah, that's all I wanted to just sum it up. You know what I mean? You go on and get your nails done, whatever you're getting ready to go do.
Oh no! We will be here all day.
I just wanted to add to what Chief was sharing to our conversation, and for me, it's interesting when you were mentioning that the character Urkel. No one would have ever imagined that the proper alpha male is Urkel, and it's interesting what you shared because as I was growing up, I've always in my walking, I've always wanted to emulate and I remember I called it out to the Most High of having His mind, being in the right mind, and meaning is to be mindful of my existence, but also in that alignment with the Most High. And so what I've noticed for me, to answer your question, you were asking to everyone about how do you create that alpha woman, and for me, it's always been, and especially following being an Anu, is again being in alignment, being synchronized, listening, following you, and using your examples as well as the Anu way, the segments, and building on that. And so from that, it's only for me, it has added to I call it the miracles, the little miracles that we think is subtle, that we think it doesn't mean anything. Those are the moments that I've seen how I magnetize. So when I magnetize her, and when that creation came apart, it even to this day, I'm still get surprised because, again, it's about your mind and you're synchronized to the Most High. And so utilizing these tools has helped me to, like you said, bring her forth to the point where we're on one point, again, going back to building that alpha woman. And so that's what I utilize for myself. And then also going out there. It was shared, but going further, going out there like Yahushua would go out in the field, go out into the wilderness and search and seek, and then watch how the Most High will bring her to you from, again, your imagination, from what you're creating. And so I just wanted to add and then share what has worked for me, and is continuing working, and watching how the Most High is working in my life.
You just said something, Albert, real quick. You said how I am building an alpha woman. Is that? Could you expound on that a little bit?
Well, exactly. As you're building her, it first starts with yourself. Like you were sharing how you're teaching us as our chief Jegna. It starts with you. So if you're, again, going back to the righteous man, if you're not righteous, you only can produce what you are building, and that is what you're magnetizing. So if I'm by being obedient to the Most High, to the laws, to being righteous, being submitting. I like the part that one time you shared in the segment, I'm a slave to the Most High. When you shared that, it was, wow, I resonated that. I appreciate that because we don't associate that with the Most High. So now if she's submitting to me, how is she going to submit to me if I'm not submitting to the Most High? If I don't have a purpose, if I don't understand my purpose, if I don't understand, like you said, if I don't understand why is she in my space, then that's going to create a problem. But once you do, and you understand that the Most High is the originator, He's giving you that focus, He's giving you that when you synchronize with His divine mind, and you do the best you can to be in alignment with the Most High, and as a community, and as building with other alpha males, that clarity makes much more sense. Does that kind of answer a little bit, Chief?
Absolutely, brother. That was a great answer. Definitely.
Does anyone else want to jump in and build or share anything on this subject? I know we do. So I'm just going to wait.
Peace,
Patient.
everybody.
Peace. Peace,
Hey.
Imanaya. Welcome.
I was multitasking, trying to do my best anyway. But I don't want no look when I have to check in. So I needed to come up with a voice to say, hey, y'all. I'm going to go back on mute.
Nah, that's so, nah.
What?
Oh, you don't get to pull an emo queer. Come on. Yeah, your headship is right.
You don't even get to pull an queer. We'll get her later.
Because I didn't want to say I didn't know, because, you know, we supposed to know, or at least, you know, give a good wrong answer so it can be corrected. But as I was doing that, I went to the Ani way. So I just shared that.
Yeah, that was on YouTube, though. You're on Clubhouse right now, though.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. That's YouTube points. You ain't got no points over here yet.
I don't.
Yeah, you starting from the beginning. You ain't got no cloud over here. You got to start over.
Peace, everyone.
Peace, everyone. What you got?
What I got understanding a little bit better of myself.
Yeah, nah, we ain't asked you about you.
Right,
so, how do you think you will locate an original man?
Being in our new?
That's not enough. So we just supposed to give you an original man?
No, not give you one. I have to work for it. I have to do my part, do what I'm supposed to do.
Which is?
Seek him out, see if he accepts me or not.
What are you supposed to do?
Be a woman. Be feminine.
So you're not doing that anyway? Like that's
yeah.
You choose. What do you do on your off days?
The same thing. I still be a woman.
But the feminine.
But not out here not in the Babylonian world. I don't want the Babylonian man, the Western world man. I want somebody that's righteous.
So when you out in the world, you act more manly.
I do not act more manly.
I'm just going by what you're saying.
I have changed the way I carry myself in some ways because I know better.
What's original about you? What's so great about you?
I'm me.
You're too old to be given a silly answer like that. He's gonna try to give me a silly answer. I'm me. I'm the bomb. You're too old for that.
I ain't say all that.
If it's the same thing.
I'm me. I'm myself.
That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't. That's what somebody say when they don't want to pay for their part of the check. What you bring to the table? I bring me. And a fork. And an appetite. Nah, you gonna pay this bill.
So would that be my skills or creativity?
Yeah, but what? All right, you're creative. You know what? This is taking too damn long, fellas. This is what I'm talking about. She should have been thinking about this already, because she has thought about it, but she wants to have me go down the mulberry bush to get a real answer. At your age, your stuff should be sharp. You see what I'm saying? You're taking too long. What do I bring to the table? Yam. You know, like, do you know anything about healing a body?
Yes, different herbs and foods.
That's the first thing you should say. Of course you do, because you're an older woman. You probably carry around a medical satchel with you the whole time and some oxygen. So that's the first thing that you should have said.
Yes, sir.
Uh-huh. What else you got?
Domestication. You're
domesticated. Oh, so you only do on the newspaper? Pillows?
I mean, like cooking and cleaning, rearing children, homemaking.
What is homemaking? What is that?
Keeping the house from, falling apart.
You don't know.
I mean, I know, but I cannot articulate in this moment. Oh, Lord. I'm so nervous.
You should be nervous. Yeah. You should be. The whole nation is watching.
Yes, it feels that way.
Mm-hmm. So you can cook and clean and you keep a home, but you don't know what that means.
I do know what it means.
Okay, so cooking and cleaning, that's basically like a maid's job. So you could do what a maid would do.
I can also rear children. I can also pay bills.
Now, what makes you qualified to rear children?
I have raised children with
that's a strike against you. That's not a strike for you.
Okay.
You saying, oh, I'm good at rearing children because I'm a single mother?
No. I did not say
that part
that.
off. Don't say that. Don't unless he brings it up. You don't bring it up.
Okay.
Yeah, because you already petite, so you could probably get away with like, I ain't got no baby. I ain't got no babies.
Oh my goodness.
You could deny them. They old enough now that they should have their self-esteem in order. You can deny them. Shoot. So yeah, don't bring that up. That's you. You cutting your legs from under you.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. So what else do you got? Don't bring up the rearing children thing because that don't even make no sense. And nobody even uses those terms anyway. So that sounds like some colonial stuff. What else you got of medieval? Yeah, it's hard when you got to think about it, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. You know what's easy? When you just crack your legs open.
Okay.
But easy come, easy go. When you really dig into your mind and see what the Most High is planted in your mind that makes you unique, it's a little harder to go through that path. But when you just crack your legs open and hold your hand out, hey, my legs is open, my hands are, give me some money, I'll give you some coochie. That's quick and easy, but easy come, easy go. Especially nowadays, because brothers is waking up to that now. You know, so now where your greatest attraction comes from is if you've actually dug into the gems of your mind. That's what makes you amazing. That's what puts you closer to that alpha position.
Okay, yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was a terrible showing. All right, I ain't gonna badger you no more. You know, but yeah, this was horrible. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I know things that you should have said that you didn't say, but I'm not gonna say them for you. I'm gonna make you do the work. There is some stuff about her that's actually real cool, but if I say it, she'll be like, I was gonna say that, but I just was like, I didn't think that mattered, because that's how she is. You know, she'll just she pretends like everything that you said she was gonna say anyway. So I'm not gonna play that game with her. Raheem, what you got, man? And don't come in here talking soft either, man. Come in here like the 6'5" warrior you are.
All right. Peace, everybody. How you guys doing?
Yeah. Come on.
Okay. I'm gonna get straight to it though. One thing I realized through my experience is comfortability. You can't let them get. Let them. You gotta stay diligent in the way you speak and the way you act, and make sure that you always have credibility. Right? You can't be easy come, easy go, and let things slide.
That's always talking about how to find an alpha woman or how to keep a woman in check.
Both, I guess, because you have to be like brother Peru was saying, to be able to even find her, you actually got to be doing something.
Didn't you just lose a girlfriend?
Yeah, because I wasn't doing nothing.
That's what I'm saying. Lost a girlfriend. Why did she leave you? What happened?
No, but I actually left her. She didn't leave me.
Yeah. Okay. What else you gonna say? Because we never gonna get contact with her, so you can say anything.
Yeah. I for real. I could for real, like.
Yeah.
Okay. Basically, what had happened was, like, we was at.
What you want to say? You're thinking about what you want to say. That's how I know whatever you're going to say ain't real.
It's always the beginning of a lie. What happened?
And then a bunch of shuffling and fumbling around. How will you attract an alpha woman, right?
By actually walking in my path. Actually, like,
what is your path?
Building something. My path is to build back the royalty in my family. So,
who told you that?
I actually read. I listened to something that I was given to by my mother.
This sounds really weak. What is your purpose? Because anybody can sit there and say that I was given something I was given to by my mother. You're 18 years old. You're a grown man now.
Okay, well,
so you can't reference your mother at this point.
I gotta change the culture in my family. I gotta take away, like, because there's not a lot of men in my family. There's like a handful, and all of them are weak.
There's enough floating around though.
Exactly. I gotta bring it.
Saying you have to be the alpha now over them, and
no.
If you're changing the culture that they established, right?
I guess so.
Yo, don't be afraid to be over them. It's all right. You know what I'm saying? That's what's supposed to happen eventually. One day my sons will be able to beat me in a fight. Today, it's not happening. We fight all the time, and they have not been able to beat me yet. But I know that day is coming, and I'll be happy for it, sort of. I don't know. I'm saying it, but I'm also kind of sensitive. So I might, you know what I'm saying? I might spaz out on them. You know what I'm saying? But the point is, there's supposed to come that time when the old is toppled. You can't be afraid to be like, yeah. You can't be afraid to look at your pop's throne and be like, yeah, you ain't rocking your crown right. I'm gonna take that. Something wrong with that. That's what all fathers want. So now, what is the woman who will accompany that and compliment? What does she look like?
She's like extremely organized because I do a lot. So she would have to.
Are you extremely organized?
Not that. I would say 50%. I'm not like that when it comes to organizing.
So check this out. See, you know how like there's a difference between men and women, and one of the differences is whatever we want in a woman, we have to be.
Okay.
With what she needs in a man, she doesn't necessarily have to be. But in order for you to guide her, everything has to be contained in you first. So whatever you want her to be and whatever you want your children to be, you have to be in totality by yourself with no dependencies. Okay. That's from nurturing, loving. Shoot, you even got to be sexy. Everything that you might think of. Yeah, I know it's hard to imagine. You know what I mean? It's hard for me to imagine you being sexy, but you work it out. You know what I'm saying? But everything that you want to see reflected in her, you have to have the core of that first. She cannot come and just be the answer to all your deficiencies.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But we know you don't know what she really looks like because you don't know what you want to do when you get out of high school.
I do now, a little bit better than before, at least when I was at your retreat.
Okay, but men, we're not allowed to know anything a little bit. A little bit is not something we can work with because we're not allowed to be wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so a little bit doesn't mean anything. You know, a little bit have you crapping on yourself. I a little bit think it's just a fart, and then yep, it was a shit. See what I'm saying? So you can't trust anything a little bit. As a man, you gotta know. I'm sorry I took over. It's just, you know what I'm saying? It's just they wasn't really, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't really coming through like they supposed to come through. You know what I mean? I know you ain't really gonna get on them like that, but I know y'all ready to go. So yeah.
Well, I'll just say thank you, and I think that last analogy applies to women too. So give thanks for that. That said, no, I just thank you for the questions and the builds throughout. I think ultimately, and maybe I'm definitely reflecting the light of headship. Our charge is to be that chick and to be that dude that is reflecting the light of Yah. And with that, our mate is going to see that and recognize that and want that. So thank you. I do want to go ahead and just open the space to see if there are any additional comments from anyone in the chat, in Clubhouse world. I know there has to be.
Yeah. I think alphas don't chart, pretty much. It off.
I'm with you on that. The males or the females, right? We know what's happening. On that note, I do want to answer the question that Chief posed in the YouTube chat earlier, when I had a premature attempt at closing things out, and just speak a bit to what being sponsored is. So once you apply for Anu Womb or Anu Man, there is a committee that reviews your application, and ultimately a decision is made as to by Chief Yuya as to whether you should be sponsored. And then once that decision is made, one of the members of the Anu Council will step up to sponsor you. And the sponsorship experience is 9 strong, so 9 weeks of going through Anu content and material. And in going through that content and material, you actually get an opportunity to walk day to day with myself, like as an Anu woman. I'll just use myself as an example. We'll do daily fitness together, explore the Anu way. You'll actually have an opportunity to do Sabbath with other initiates that are going through sponsorship along with their sponsors, and truly be accountable. And explore, right? We accountable to you and you to your commitment to the experience. I think the best way it's been described is the Anu sponsorship is tantamount to courtship, which is taking an opportunity to really see if this is the environment that's right for you, and if you in turn are right for this environment. And ultimately, after that, as Aki Rahim can attest to, fresh out of orientation and sponsorship with Master Menelek, he had the opportunity to participate in his first retreat and is active on these calls and getting grilled and questioned and compelled to grow and expand as we all do. So that's a little bit about sponsorship. And I don't know if anyone on council wants to elaborate if I kind of missed anything, because there's a lot more that goes into it, a lot. But it's really, really beautiful and a great primer to help you determine, whether it's good for you or not. And in most cases, it's always good. So let's see. Is there anything else? No. All right. Well, thank you for unmuting for the Okay, so with that, again, just a reminder to like, share, follow, subscribe. Of course, we have a myriad of other activities on the Enlightenment and Transformation channel. We actually have a womb takeover. It was supposed to be for the month of August. It's going into September. We are really excited. So you'll see a lot of the women of Anu doing the movie breakdowns and giving Aki Lo, or as he is now known as El Karar, a break. And also, I know Chief Yuya stepped in and did a month-long series as well. And so the brothers get an opportunity to watch the movies and participate in the chat. The first movie that we're going to delve into is actually a really fun one called a Nollywood film called Chief Daddy. It is a fun film, but there is a lot to explore, and we're going to dig deep. So please watch that and join us this Thursday evening at 8:30. Of course, there's this build, as well as we no longer have Shema for the time being, but we do have a build every Yom Shishi on the Anu Life Global channel. Oh, there we go. And then something's been posted in the chat. And the Anu Life Global channel every Yom Shishi at 6:30, where the brothers and sisters of Anu will build and just explore and discuss many, many topics. With that, I'm just going to say thank you again for joining. I will that each of us just recognize our character, whether it be for those that are alpha, that you are alpha, and be unapologetic. leave that. All right. Give thanks. Have a beautiful day, all. Peace.
Give thanks. Peace.
Peace, everyone.
Peace.
Give thanks.